Do you got the topics or no? Or do you want me to pull my? I am not well versed on the written, whatever the written thing is, the court case, but
Cool.
I'll make my loose comments there.
I love the story about the remnant. No matter what you do, there's going to be a remnant in society protecting the principles of liberty. And that's what we need to. We need to build that.
This is not the first time in history that plague laws have been used to centralize control. Control of transportation, control of labor, control of banking and bank accounts, control of all the different kinds of capital that make up human civilization. But the COVID laws are particularly draconian in the history of plague laws because not only do they control labor, transportation, banking, but now with advances in digital technology, we're looking at complete control through the banking system of 100% of all assets, ultimately.
The state of America right now, inflation obviously at a 31-year high right now. Americans are seeing their dollars, their paychecks stretched right now. Why should Americans not be concerned that injecting another $1.75 trillion or more would further raise inflation?
Because no economist out there is projecting that this will have a negative impact on inflation.
Now what we're watching with COVID laws all around the world is the central bankers moving in and exercising essentially a coup d'etat, where they take control of fiscal policy as well. And again, with the advances in digital technology, vaccine passports will not be about health. Vaccine passports are part of a financial transaction control grid that will absolutely end human liberty in the West. For many years, I have fought and written against central control of the financial system. We've centralized more and more capital, more and more control. And we've done it with tactics called divide and conquer. And we've all experienced many different divide and conquer tactics, men against women, black against white. But now we have a new one called the vaccinated versus the non-vaccinated. Because if you're going to centralize control of every aspect of people's lives and literally strip them of their assets and their property rights, you need a new, more venal divide and conquer, and we can't let that happen.
The vast majority of the experts, including Wall Street, are suggesting that it's highly unlikely that it's going to be long-term inflation that's going to get out of hand.
Welcome to Toxic Airwaves. Pretty stoked on tonight's episode. Doing good. Skeeve cannot make it tonight, seeing that he is just been diagnosed with a case of climate change. So tonight I have joining me Max. How you doing, Max?
Thank you for having me, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Stoked to have you. But yeah.
What a clown world.
What a clown world.
What a clown world.
Yeah, our experts are pretty stupid.
Yeah, I don't really know what to even elaborate on. Just some of their, like some of their comments. Is that the lady? I saw that video before. Is that the lady that is pushing back against all this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Okay, because she's very based on how she's framing everything of what they're actually doing. But they're pretty much, you know, before you went live, we were talking a little bit before. They're pretty much throwing everything at the book that they can at all this stuff, and they're doing it out in the open. You know, the more they the more the emperor shows they have no clothes, the crazier the laws get. So I think it's very obvious.
Yeah, totally.
How bad it was all crumbling.
Yeah, definitely. So that woman is Catherine Austin Fitts, and she has a I don't know, like an investment company, and writes a newsletter called the Solari Report. I genuinely enjoy her work. She hates Bitcoin, but like you said, she is generally pretty based on stuff going on. So yeah, AK-47 says, glad you're taking Skeef's place as he's suffering from his mental health issue with climate change. So
I feel so bad for him at the moment. We're not really sure how to fix his diagnoses, and I know he is now officially the second case in the world, the first one being the lady in Canada. So everybody send out your love and prayers, Skeef, and hope he gets better from climate change. So make sure you install more solar panels. I think that'll help cure him.
So far his treatment regimen has consisted of making a shrine to Greta Thunberg and eating a bunch of soy and tofu and stuff. So hopefully that'll fix him.
Yeah, a lot more fake meat. That's exactly what he needs.
Yeah, some beyond meat. Gosh,
I wasn't gonna plug him.
Yeah, short that stock.
Oh my God.
Well, we'll go. That's a good segue. So Texas Slim, that guy's doing some cool stuff in Texas, I believe.
Yeah, anybody that is listening to any Bitcoin related podcasts, like what we all do, he's been on quite the audio tour, if you will. Check out Once Bitten, obviously on Tales from the Crypt, several others. And I believe he started his own as well. He's going to focus mainly on beef and cattle ranchers down in Texas. But what he's doing, kind of rallying the troops in that Texas area, is quite impressive. I'm very excited to see what he does next.
Yeah, it's incredibly important. They're going after the food supply, and they're going after meat intentionally. And like, this isn't a conspiracy theory. All of this stuff is right out there in the open. You just have to look at the stuff that, you know, evil people like Bill Gates is publishing, or the World Health Organization. You've got scientists talking about trying to use vaccines to make people intolerant to meat. They're talking about how meat is responsible for changing the climate, and therefore they want to reduce people's intake and feed us a bunch of bullshit. And it's pretty wild getting into the history. Like he was just on TFTC, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Texas Slim kind of goes into the history on that episode. I listened to part of it. I haven't finished it yet, but goes into the history of like the food stuff in America. And it's absolutely astonishing to look at all the bullshit with the subsidies and how they're feeding us garbage. And like, it's interesting how it coincides with 1971. That's when a lot of this stuff really started. And when we got our fiat money, we got fiat food as well. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I was actually telling that example tonight. I love the meme. I don't even want to call it a meme. It's more of just a very truthful image of what the beaches looked like in 1971 versus 2021, right? Everybody was relatively slender. Of course, you had some big people on the beach like that, but they weren't, you could tell they were not obese, like unhealthy in that way. And then fast forward 50 years, again, off the gold standard fiat economy, everybody looks like whales on the beach. It's just terrible. And it really shows what they're pumping into all of your food, right? The classic, I'm so thankful for Texas Slim for saying this. I didn't realize that canola oil is rapeseed. It's an extract of rapeseed. I wish I would have known that, let alone a couple months ago. And that was banned by the FDA, I believe, in like 1958 for how toxic it was to us. So just extrapolate all that out, and you can see what sludge they have been feeding generations for like 50 plus years.
Yep. The state hates you, and the state is a vehicle for these giant corporations, the parasitic elite, to use a monopoly on violence to make us sick and make us slaves. It's absolutely disgusting, the stuff that they're doing. And it's like, when you dive into the food too, I mean, there's the canola oil, which lots of things are cooked in, but then there's also the GMOs and pesticides that we're consuming in our food as well. And so, you go through this process. A lot of people go through this process of trying to eat healthy, and they go to the grocery store and only buy things on the edges of it. So real meats, real vegetables, stuff like that. But even those are toxic, for consumption to a certain degree. And so there's this, process that I'm trying to figure out right now of like, how do I source my food that's not bullshit? How do I support small farmers? How do I not get the Monsanto poison in my veins? It's pretty wild. It's there's a lot to it.
And they want you on that hamster wheel. Eat the sludge. Sludge causes health problems. Go to the doctor and get prescribed unnecessary medications for the effects that the sludge has caused to your body, and wash, rinse, repeat.
Yep.
So it's really a toxic cycle. The way that you just phrased that, I would be curious to look at like the 10Ks or even just the shareholders of these companies like Monsanto, and how many also are either board members of Pfizer or other related medical drug companies to that nature, and see how much, cross-pollination, if you will, that these elites want you on that, sludge and medical hamster wheel. It's really toxic.
Yeah.
No pun intended there, but it's very sad to it's very sad to see and experience all that.
Yeah. They talk about it. I need to go back, but they talk about it in a book that Skeef suggested to me called The Controlled Demolition of the American Empire. And
Ooh.
yeah, pretty interesting book. But yeah, Monsanto got bought by Bayer, which is historically one of the most evil companies in the world. I think they were the creators of Zyklon B, which is a poison gas that did they use that in the Holocaust? I'm not sure, but
I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them were of that era, as a founding member or something like that of the company. It is interesting how many, like the Nazi regime has just been ingrained into various levels of, industry or just general deep state areas. People don't realize this. They need to open up their eyes, and I know how painful it is to do so. But once you do, it's bound to change your perspective at a moment's notice. I wish more people did that.
Yeah, we live in a fascist economy right now. It's no way. There's no such thing as a free market globally unless you're going and transacting with the guy on the side of the road that doesn't have a business license or pay taxes. Then it's a free market. But yeah. So I got a question in the chat from AK47. So is there a good carnivore or keto cookbook that Bitcoiners have published or put together? I don't know.
I don't know any of them off the top of my head, AK, but I do know a couple people that within our just general friend group, they've recommended good ones. What's the Sean guy? Does the YouTube stuff? The Sean Baker. There you go. He has a quite in-depth regimen for either recipes or like workouts and other things of that nature for his carnivore lifestyle. But I don't know any like specific Bitcoiners that have done that. I would say, I guess Texas Slim would be the first one to do so if he ever wrote anything like that. But I'll definitely look around for sure.
Yeah, there's a good business opportunity for you, AK. That'd be cool.
Yes. Yeah, I'll buy your book. Tell me what the link is. I'll pay you sats for it. So
nice. I've always personally been more of a paleo person. I haven't ever gone full carnivore or keto, and yeah.
But have you ever been in that state though? Have you been in the keto state before?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. I've only been there a couple times, as it is very difficult to sustain your carnivore level in that ketosis state. But it's essentially, it's almost like a high. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't quite call it like a runner's high, but it gives you again, no pun intended for all of everybody's laser eyes, but it really gives you that laser focus of after, I think, like 2 or 3 days of eating nothing but meat, it's like begins to happen. It takes a good, few days to rid yourself of whatever toxic stuff that you just consumed, either intentionally or unintentionally. But it's a very focused state. I've always had a lot of energy. It took me like maybe about 5 days to get there, but you wake up instantly with energy. You sleep very well. You're very alert. I didn't drink any coffee. I wasn't really that hungry as well, but I was very energetic. If you ever can take that week of just eating nothing but meat, give it a shot. It's definitely worth it's worth the experience to stay in that ketosis state.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard that from multiple people, and it seems like ketosis is the best way to lose weight too. That's just hands down. I mean, eating well, working out is obviously helpful too, but yeah, getting ketosis. I've known some people that have done it and shed ridiculous amounts of weight really, really fast. But yeah, so AK-47 says I'll start collecting recipes and put it into a PDF, which is good.
There we go.
I don't really understand that joke, but in our Telegram group, and I had Joe Rogers yell at me on Twitter one time to give him a PDF, but apparently there's a
He
joke.
keeps asking for, oh my gosh, I'm losing the name. I have the book upstairs right now. It's on my bookshelf.
Anarchist Cookbook.
No, it's not that. It's like How to Stay Private in America or something like that. It's the 3rd edition, and he's too freaking cheap. Joe, if you're listening, I know you're listening at some point. Just buy the damn book, man. It's only $40 on Amazon. We're fine. Somebody will buy it for you, and we'll send you a PO box to your house. But that's the joke. He's too cheap, and it's like 400 pages.
I mean, you can pretty much go anywhere online and find a PDF of anything. Is what I found. I've sent him PDFs online. I think I've sent him 2 different PDFs, but
there's so much available. That's the beauty of the internet, right? Just democratized everything.
yeah, intellectual property cannot coexist with the internet. That's for sure.
No, it cannot. You put sats as a paywall, or you self-host it with sats as a paywall. Game's up.
Yeah. So AK-47 is raving about keto. My brain function at work has improved at work with keto. Carnivore diet, muscle mass increased a lot with the carnivore diet. So that's pretty dope.
How long did you stay in ketosis, AK-47?
Yeah.
I'll put that in the chat if she doesn't respond quick, but I'm curious.
Yeah, there's a little bit of delay, but she's good.
Yeah, it's all right.
But yeah, the food is poison. They're wanting us to stick needles in our arms. I mean, I think this, like, so Catherine Austin Fitts in the AK-47 says I have no idea. So Catherine Austin Fitts in the intro, that video I used, she was talking about how this vaxxed versus unvaxxed is the ultimate divide and conquer technique. And one thing I've been finding really interesting is it seems like YouTube and other social media platforms have been promoting anti-vax narrative stuff. So like after every single video, pretty much, I get a Rand Paul versus Fauci or something along the lines of that suggested. And in my feed, I'll get suggestions like that. So I think there's kind of an intentional process happening right now in regards to that. I think that's in the battle of psyops and culture, that's an important battle to try and get in front of, is that divide and conquer. So you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely very active. And as all social media is tailored specifically to your viewing preferences based on your history, it's become very obvious that's, they're targeting those types of scenarios. But it's almost, it's almost that's only the case if you allow them to put you in their game. As Bitcoiners, if we choose to opt out, we don't have to interact or deal with any of that stuff. Now, again, there's only so far we can go, to actually 100% opt out. We're not Max Hillebrand with no phone and stuff like that. Shout him for doing something like that. But yeah, it's definitely a tactic, and it seems to be working. I don't really notice too many of the Karens around anymore, but I don't interact with any normal people in my day-to-day life. So, which is a good thing, right?
Yep.
But it seems that tactic definitely works if they buy it and believe it. But I have also noticed there is a good portion of the population that is looking around and going, okay, we took our 2 shots, we're still wearing our mask, and now you're telling me that we need a 3rd shot, and then every 6 months we're going to need a shot after that. And if we don't get that shot, then I'm not allowed to go to these certain places. There's a limit here. And even normal people are waking up and saying, all right, this is enough. Where's the actual hard line to be drawn? I think that's yet to be said.
Yeah. No, I think it's good that normal people were waking up to a certain extent. I think there's a lot of people that can't wake up, but they can see the silliness of it. And I think when we're dealing with the masses, it's really important to be on the forefront of creating effective propaganda to counteract the bullshit. So like, the easy one right now is inflation. They're saying either inflation is good, they're saying inflation's happening because not enough people are getting shots, they're saying it's a sign of an economic recovery. It's just complete and utter bullshit. And I think normal people can see that, but like it's an opportunity for us to explain to people and put out good content as far as like central banking is a banking cartel. It's evil. It's about enslaving you, taking all your wealth and giving it to people in Wall Street, and other places so that they can go and have yachts and go in the Hamptons off the hard work of your back. Like I think like these are the narratives that are important to fight right now. And it's out of self-protection, ultimately, because they're going to come after Bitcoin at some point and hit us really, really hard. And if the general population is like, this is insane, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to do that. And the same thing with the vaccine stuff of like them trying to demonize people that are quote unquote unvaxxed, whatever that means now with the boosters. It's important to help people understand like the mandates are insane. There's never been, it's an argument that people use a lot is like the mandates. Well, before I go on that tangent, what it comes down to at the end of the day is government is completely illegitimate. Like it is a tool to steal as much as they can from the population. Every government ever will amass power because it's a monopoly on violence. It can't be limited. So the minarchist argument is really dumb. And I think this is the battle, if we really ever want freedom, is to go after the government. And so this idea of like, we need to influence the government for them to be less, oppressive or whatever is kind of like a fool's errand, and it's not very effective. Like I think the important idea is like, we need to just celebrate the delegitimacy of the government, them acting really, really foolish, and then protect ourselves, because these people, their sole purpose in life is to try and retain power, and they're ready to burn down the house in order to do so at the expense of everybody else. And so that's kind of the perspective that I'm having right now. So like the propaganda, that we can put out, one, it's to like protect ourselves, and then 2, it's hopefully to get some people awake so that they can protect themselves too. So
it's centralized powers that are the problem. It's not even, yes, government is the biggest centralized organization, but it's just centralized powers in and of itself. That's really what's the detriment there. And it always comes, I saw another meme, the power of the memes. I absolutely love it. This was like a 1900 maybe 1905 or something like that, art or image of everybody around a table, or there was many separate little tables, and there was the bankers over at one, and they were plotting how to create war so the banks can print more money, and the medical table and the agriculture table were all this small little pies in this massive jigsaw puzzle. It's really breaking down the centralization of these mafias, right? I hate to say it in that way, but like when you have your like police department, that is a state-run mafia. Mm-hmm. I just experienced the other day. I don't even know where I was at. I think it was at the Atlanta Bitcoin conference. Actually, somebody was there was a cop in the intersection. He wanted to get through the light. He flipped on his lights and sirens, did a quick left, and then they shut him off again. It's like, what the fuck, man? You can't respect the laws as we respect them, because if we push back, you'll knock on our window and throw us in the back of the cab, right? So there's a limit here of how far they can push it before normal people start standing up. And then now the real executable action on our part is, how do we, as you were alluding to, start to break down these centralized powers and really put the hands back into the people? Don't feed that beast. Don't donate to these things. If you're going to pay your taxes, pay them in payments or something like that. Don't give them the whole lump sum up front. It's very, very tragic on how the majority of the population operates. Believing that government is right. They sit down on their nightly news, they fearmonger everything that you need, and then now you run to work wearing 3 masks and in a full hazmat suit, fearing because this brand new variant of whatever is popping up. Interestingly enough, there was a swine flu vaccination in 1976, and it was essentially pushed in the same manner that all this other stuff is going on today. And the journalists and other people pushed back against that. There's like 1 million people that filed lawsuits. It was only $2 billion worth of damages, but $2 billion went a lot farther back, 45 years ago. It was like 1 million people got the shot in 1976, and a majority of them had neurological damage to some varying degree. And there was billions of dollars worth of lawsuits filed. And I think he was the prior CDC director or something like that back then, actually admitted live on air that they screwed up. So you want to talk about history rhymes, right? I mean, it's just wash, rinse, repeat over and over again, and everybody forgets, right? Give them bread and circus, and they'll you'll never have sorrow, right?
Yeah, that's super interesting. I've never even heard of that, so I need to go.
Yeah, check it out. Swine flu vaccine, 1976. It was marketed damn near. I mean, look somewhere on my Twitter. I think it was. I reposted it, but it's like damn near tit for tat of how they spun the narrative to the media.
Super, super fascinating. Yeah, we're getting there though. I think as much as I despise Elon Musk, he's got the right attitude about things with his tweets to politicians.
Oh man, the Bernie tweet yesterday, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
What did he say? Something along the lines of, we need to, Bernie said, just out to the public, we need to tax the rich or something. And Elon responded back and said, "Oh, I forgot you were still alive."
Yeah.
Like, what a way to throw shade.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's like the perfect response in a situation like that. Like the whole tax the rich, thing is people. I don't know what people imagine. I mean, I think the general person doesn't understand how wealth is created. and they don't understand that taxing the rich is ultimately going to be a tax on them. Like, because the government is not out there to protect normal people. They always go after the most vulnerable because they can, because the vulnerable don't have resources to protect themselves. And, so when they do things like that, I mean, we've seen the Panama Papers, and whatever the recent one was, that was a big nothing burger. Like, we know that the wealthy have the ability to protect their assets in a way that average people can. And, so this concept of like taxing the rich is just, it's hilarious. It's like the idea of like raising business taxes, like that's money coming out of people's paycheck, and that's less jobs. That's more expensive products. It's like, you go to California and there's a 65-cent gas tax on top of the 8 or whatever the federal is. It's like 18.5 cents. And, people voted for that. People like willingly supported that and thought that was a really good idea, when ultimately, and now they're complaining about increases in tax or increase in gas prices. Like, you guys are fucking morons. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think voting, like, for this reason, I think voting is stupid and democracy is stupid, because it's just so easy to take control of a population and steer him in stupid directions. And it's, yeah.
I mean, democracy is the best out of all the governing models, right? I mean, I know I butchered that, but it's paraphrasing, I think, Winston Churchill or something like that. There was like an Indian guy or some guru. It might have been a joke, but I feel like it's very real. With maybe it wasn't a voiceover, but he goes, democracy is, one of the greatest things we've ever experienced. But the moment that you let idiots vote, you get idiotic results. It's the classic, code, garbage in, garbage out, scenario. Same thing for your body, right? What we were just last talking about. You put garbage into your food, you're going to have garbage results. For how you feel, how you move. Same thing goes into the voting mechanisms. If you buy into garbage media for somebody to become a politician, you're going to have garbage results. I do have to give Arizona credit, though. Your new state governor that could potentially, or is he Senate? Is he running for senator or governor? I can't remember now. But he did the ad with the AK-40 or with the AR-15. And he's like, this is not for hunting. Like, this is to protect your family. And like, I'm not going to, like, the moment that they take away your guns, you take away all of your rights after that. So I respect your running candidate. I can't remember if it's senator, representative, or governor, but he seems pretty down to earth on understanding where the line is drawn.
Yeah. No, I mean, Arizona is definitely like friendlier jurisdiction to live in, especially with gun laws. Gun laws have been great here for a very long time. But
yeah,
I think what it comes down to, and like the attitude I'm trying to approach right now with where we're going, is like, the conservatives might be a little bit friendlier to some of my interests, but they're equally as bad. Like, you just look at George Bush and what he did for freedom in completely destroying it, and even Donald Trump. Like, everybody's blaming Biden for inflation right now and increases in prices. Like, that guy wreaked havoc on the economy as well, with his tariffs and with the money printing. Like, he loved the Fed, and ultimately, like, I mean, putting Mike Pompeo as the Secretary of State, like, or he was head of Department of Justice, I think.
I can't remember at this point.
Yeah,
I know what you mean, though. It's all a joke. Once you're in that chair, I'm not going to dox particular anything. There was no government related role, but once you're in these centralized power chairs, the power does corrupt, absolutely, and you do start to operate in an incentive for you to maintain that position. So it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're playing on, you're still playing the same fucking game. And the only way that you can play a different game is to either destroy that one, but that takes energy and effort. So you're literally better to just take the ball with you and go play your own game somewhere else, or just leave the ball for them to play and go make a new game that incentivizes a more sound structure. I don't want to say fair or more equally based like that, but a more sound structure. It is really sad to see, but with certain truth technologies that we have, obviously the internet being one, Bitcoin being another one, the truth is definitely coming to light a lot faster than what it did prior. You had 3 channels in the 70s, and that was it. And it was very set programming. You had like 2-3 medias for your newspapers, and written articles like that. Same thing for here. You can go and put out your own comments, and hopefully somebody picks it up and it inspires them to go and build or to make a choice for their future. But it's how do you effectively opt out and build your own scenario? Because it doesn't matter if Trump gets in office, or like you said, Bush, or whoever, it's all the same. They sit in the same chair, they sign the same documents. One just pays their friends first. That's all.
Yeah. Jimmy Song was on my podcast, and he said voting is wishing for who you want to steal from you. And I think that's a good one. Yeah. As far as like Arizona politics, like Arizona is a great place to live, largely due to having a less obtrusive government than other places. But like, I mean, you look at the legacy of Arizona politics, is like, you think of, I mean, a lot of people think of Barry Goldwater, pretty cool dude. But it's like John McCain and Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Those are like the people that, are thought of. John McCain, awful human being. Just terrible, terrible person. Loved war, loved all the bullshit. Loved spending, just big corporate guy, terrible guy. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, really inhumane person, very, very terrible at throwing tons of people in cages for nonviolent offenses, and not even just throwing them in cages, but throwing them in tents in the middle of the desert. So I have a good friend that went to Tent City and had to, deal with, I don't know how long he was there. He was there like a year or two, and had to like sit in the sun. Just really, really inhumane behavior. And so it's like this idea of like conservatism being better. It always isn't. But kind of going off of your idea of decentralization. So one thing that's super interesting is like we're seeing polarization of society, and we're seeing a lot of tribalism, and a lot of people are looking at that and kind of bewailing it, like we need to unite, and politics is a puppeteer to act. Yeah, exactly. AK-47. But I think that tribalism is good, because that's ultimately going to make it a lot harder to corral people under one narrative, and you're seeing people kind of go to their separate corners of the internet. So like you and I are on this call tonight. A lot of people in the chat were from all different segments of the country, yet we share common beliefs and values to a certain degree, and connect in meaningful ways. And it's really cool to see this happening, because I think this, you build off of us hanging out and talking to actually doing things. I was talking to Shishi about this on my podcast. The idea that him and I could be trading seeds across the country via the mail, and what that does for us, of like creating this new economy where we're not having to go to, Lowe's or Ace or whatever bullshit to get our bad GMO seeds. We can get like really good ones and trade in a way like that. I think it's incredibly powerful. So.
And then what does that do to your local environment as well? I know we talked before on here, the regenerative farming that's going on, especially out west. We've all seen those like futuristic pictures of like Nevada and Arizona and New Mexico all are this luscious green land in like the year 2050 or 2075. And, how did they ended up getting all that lush fertilization of a diverse, plants and animals in that region? And I think what you just said there, I didn't realize, obviously it makes sense, but I didn't put two and two together. That's a beautiful way to do that. I can already see the pushback from centralized bullshit players saying you can't ship somebody firewood because you're going to spread bugs in a different environment, a different area. You can't, take those seeds and plant them somewhere else. Fuck off and, go and plant whatever you want in that region. I'm curious to see how much that would build up and create a better overall environment, just by doing, something as simple as trading seeds back and forth and let it flourish for 20 years or so, see what happens.
Yeah. But I mean, ultimately, like you think about it, if there wasn't so much cumbersome government, you could do it all locally. Like if you could have a guy next door that you could be going and getting tomato seeds and giving him cucumber seeds
of course.
And the reason why we don't have that is because of these centralized power structures. And so I think it's important to do it locally too. Because and this is what I'm trying to do with the Bitcoin meetup is like build off of it to do things like this. Like, I want the Bitcoin meetup to be a place, like a hub for trade for people to come to. And like, if you have vegetables or fruits, to be able to use it there. And that's kind of the vision I have. And, the Bitcoin meetups, it's already been a thing all over the place where people go there to trade fiat for Bitcoin. And I think stuff like that is super cool because KYC is kind of an emergency right now, in my opinion, with just the financial surveillance and where they're trying to go to really create the social credit system. And I think routing around that preemptively before it fully gets rolled out is really, really important. And if we don't have those networks built out, it's going to be problematic. So it's, Skeef said he wants to join.
Bring him in.
Yeah.
Bring him in. Ask him how his climate diagnosis is going. Let's see what the boots on the ground are saying from wherever he's at in this world.
Yeah. Agorism at the meetup. Good idea. Exactly.
Yeah, that's brilliant. But that's the nice thing about the meetups, though. As we say, fix the money, fix the world. The purpose of money being that sound money being that base layer will build off on those decentralized, not trade per se, but just decentralized lifestyles. So what I'm trying to do with my meetups is once we have, obviously I got 5-6 rolling in that region, in the Midwest region. I would love in the next year or so have some type of a long range ham radio communication between all these hubs, from Detroit down to Lexington, Kentucky, to Indianapolis, and wherever else are all these places they're at. And not only do you can operate on distributed money, have a distributed communication layer on top. And then each one of those regions, now you're modeling off of the Texas Slim, beef organization that he's trying to do a co-op with. And now this person knows this cattle ranch that doesn't do any hormones in their stuff. And these people want to trade their, naturally grown chicken eggs and so on and so forth, trade seeds locally like that. And then you really are operating in that distributed like model simply by opting out. We never had to shoot a bullet. You never had to, try to destroy whatever centralized party was there. Just start locally in your own area and do one thing at a time. Get the Bitcoiners together, get them to utilize whatever communication that you are, and, slowly build up your layers, your layers from there.
That's beautiful. I do have a ham radio. I need to.
You got a license or whatever it's called?
No, I haven't gotten the license yet. I don't really do anything with it. It's just a cheap one sitting in my office that I never touch, and have just in case. But yeah, there's so many different cool communities that we can overlap with too, like the prepper community. And this is like, Bitcoin Motorist is doing some cool stuff with PorkFest, bringing surfers.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
And
yeah, what he's doing up there.
I think as many communities as we can engage with and work with that are along similar lines like that, the better. And I think the cool thing about this is like, we don't have to, really do a ton other than get out there and proliferate this technology and teach people how to use it, for it to be really effective and take off. Like, we don't need, a better exchange. We don't need, whatever. Like we have some pretty powerful tools right now that we can start using to do some pretty cool things. But yeah.
And get out. You just said right there, that's the key. Don't go into Zuckerberg's make everything Trump again environment. You want it to be in real life. You can feel the walls closing in, right? They want you to put on the headset. They want you to spend more time in augmented reality and all this other stuff. But I do appreciate Zuckerberg's make everything Trump again meme. I really appreciate what he's doing with Meta for trying to bring back the Trump era, for sure. I know it's a little bit of a dry humor, sarcastic pun, but I would very much appreciate if we can get that meme going around the world, that make everything Trump again is what Meta is really all about. But I mean, on a serious note, though, you can feel the walls are closing in. They don't want you to go any farther than your local area, right? They're doing it in like a twisted way too. They're encouraging your localization, right? But it's all locked within their approval. So go to the grocery store and buy your, sludge, meat. And, you only have 15 minutes on the bus because that bus only uses 50% electric. The other 50% is diesel. So you have to be limited on your carbon consumption, so on and so forth. I can't wait till they bring in a very explicit carbon credit system. I guess that's what the social credit score really is. But if you're out cutting your yard and you're using a regular push mower, what happens if your your carbon credits run out after only cutting your front yard? That your neighbor's cutting his whole yard because he has an electric mower, but you are only limited once per week to cut half of your yard with your gasoline powered mower. As crazy as that sounds, I think it's coming, which is really, I think it's gonna be really eye-opening when people like look at their phone and they say, oh, my blood sugar is this, reading off of some government app. Oh, and I used all of my carbon credits today. Oh, I'll just do that. I'll just use the bus tomorrow or something like that, or drive my car tomorrow instead. Just absolutely asinine for what's yet to come. I don't think we've seen anything yet regarding any type of carbon restrictions.
Yeah, no, I'm totally on board with you on that, and that's definitely coming, and we're already seeing it. They're banning gaming computers and lawnmowers, the gas lawnmowers in California and other states. But yeah, I mean, we have to do something because people like Skeef are suffering from climate change. We have to do something dramatic. It's an epidemic right now.
Something's got to change. I want everybody right now, go and unplug your refrigerator. You don't need your food cold or your freezer cold. Save Skeef from climate change. Please. All it takes is an hour or 2 hours. Just save the dolphins and save Skeef from whatever ailment that he has now from climate change. Please, I beg you, save our poor Skeef.
Skeef's in he's not showing up in the spaces, but I guess he's listening in the web app, and he says the sound sounds great. So Clancy,
Wonderful.
Yeah, apparently Clancy.
Yeah, Clancy, go shove it somewhere for the audio issues last time. So if we got good audio now, I think we're rocking and rolling. I haven't looked at spaces yet, so
yeah.
Hello everybody, thank you for joining.
The YouTube audio is generally always good. It was just having some problems with spaces, but apparently that's, well, it might honestly be because nobody else is in spaces talking with us. So sometimes there's a contrast, but whatever. But so Don and Lurk are throwing some shade at each other in the chat per usual, which is awesome. So
there you go.
Lurk says, or Don says Lurk voted for the Green Party candidates, and Don says, or Lurk says Don has a Hillary Clinton yard sign in his yard thing. Yeah. Okay. Well,
we appreciate it.
Yeah. So this is a interesting point from AK-47. So plug in some more miners to save the climate. Love it.
Round of applause for that comment.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is something, I've got a theory on. So I think mining is going to lead to the balkanization of the U.S., or at least contribute largely to it, because once a lot of these regions realize they can be financially sovereign through Bitcoin mining, it's going to be an arms race to get miners. That's, an interesting theory. I don't know how realistic that is, but I also have this belief that home mining is incredibly important for routing around KYC. And, if you have a couple miners at your local Bitcoin meetup, you can supply a lot of people with Bitcoin, because you have to be selling Bitcoin to pay for power, unless you, are just going to completely use it as a DCA. And I think that really creates powerful networks with home mining. And it seems like right now we're on the cusp of miners going exponential in price as the Bitcoin price is likely to go up. And I see supply chain shortages really, kind of inhibiting the ability for new miners to come online. And so I think it's still a great time for plebs to get into it. But yeah, you do some mining. You got any thoughts on this?
It will be a national security issue in the next 5 to 10 years, possibly sooner. And to elaborate just slightly on that, as Bitcoin becomes more impactful globally for what we all believe that it will, you will experience nation states having hash wars. So therefore they will be competing on producing those semiconductors, and therefore building out the ASIC hash boards, and of course plugging them into their own locally sourced electrical grid and wherever their energy is coming from. Obviously the big players are going to be the United States and China. Probably China is going to win because the United States is getting older, but we do still have a fighting chance. So just that alone should put the severity for plebs to go out and get some miners immediately. This part of the cycle is possibly, there's so many factors that are around whether it's good or bad right now to buy miners. In short, yes, get as many as you can. As long as you can pay the electric bill, you're going to be fine. Within reason. Don't go and mine somewhere in like Manhattan for like 40 cents a kilowatt hour, whatever they pay there, versus somebody in the boondocks of Tennessee or something like that. But that non-KYC is very powerful for your income, and that slight amount of contribution for yourself to acquire that, and therefore you give that power to the network, just that much more secure. Another 100 terahash here, 100 terahash there, really adds up. But I find that it will be a very massive player in the next global conflict, is who can produce the boards and how much hash does this nation state have. So if you can be a pleb that has a little bit hash to yourself, nobody knows about, you can pay your electricity bill and dollar cost average through your power company, more power to you. That's the best way to go. Just be mindful when you enter in at your ASIC price. And with that being said, because of the supply shortage that you just brought up, I don't know if you're going to be able to get miners in 2 years. You know, technically speaking, if we continue these supply shocks at the semiconductor level, let alone as the chips get smaller and quantum becomes exponentially more of a factor in building out the 5 or 4 or 3 nanometer chips. I don't even think you can get down to 3 nanometer without serious quantum mechanic, or quantum physics interactions. It seems like now might be actually one of the better times to buy at a peak bull market price in Bitcoin because of that issue. I know Bitmain said they will be, or they announced their XS or something like that, 150 terahash machine, soon to be released in June or July of 2022. I'll believe it when I see it. I highly doubt anybody will actually get it in July. That is not approved by Bitmain or large orders. But as past cycles have gone, like a great time to buy was in the bear market, and you were an idiot to buy a S9 for $10,000 in 2017.
Yeah.
You know. So is that going to repeat? I can't say that it will. But there is an interesting point regarding the chip shortage that it may be a good time to just keep buying your S19s, or I'm a what's miner maximalist, so go buy your M30 31s or something like that. You may be in a good position in the next two to 3 years. And then really look at immersion. I just got my massive fish tank. I'm going to do some immersion testing, and I'm really excited for that. So that can essentially like double your income, reduce your power, and you could overclock the machines quite substantially, and they can last a lot longer. But it's definitely going to bring on hash wars for large governments. You could continue to experience the chip shortage over the next 2 to 3 years. And if you're really serious, look at immersion mining. It lasts a tremendous amount of time versus air-cooled, and you can get a lot more efficiency out of that.
Yeah. No, I need to look more seriously at immersion. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting my girlfriend a S9 for Christmas, and I'm not going to be able to get it till unless I work some magic at Kaboom Racks, which I don't think I'll be able to. I don't think I'll be able to get it to her until January, but shout out to Kaboom Racks. Those guys are awesome.
Shout out to Nick and team. I know they're scrambling because everybody wants miners right now. But the problem with the S9s, though, because I'm in the same boat, I want to do the testing with all the S9s first. I'd rather burn up $1,000, $2,000 in boards rather than 50 grand worth of what's miners or something like that right now. But the problem that I keep hearing, same thing what Joe Rogers has experienced. Shout out to you, Joe and Neil, for getting the S9s to the plebs when you were, and you still are. Like 30% of those boards were bad. Mm-hmm. They said they tested them, but you go back and you test all the boards, they're not getting the results that what they were claimed at. And that's what you buy for $300 or $500 for a 5-year-old machine, so it is what it is. But I'm in the same boat. I'm trying to find some for testing. I was going to get 2 or 3 of them. Coming to find out 2 of the machines were bad. So I only got 1.
Yeah. No, I work at Kaboom Racks. So.
Oh shit! There you go.
Yeah. So I have an in on that. Hopefully I could get it sorted. But yeah, I mean the miners are old, and the heat sinks can fall off in the mail if they get and most of the miners that they have are, have been put through hell. So I think that it is unfortunate so many of them go bad, and it's weird because I like work on them. But yeah, no, I look at the S19 right now from anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000, and I see that going exponential in price going forward. I could totally see an S19 selling for $40,000 to $50,000 here in the near future, and I think the price of Bitcoin is going to go exponential at some point, most likely. I'm really bad with price predictions, but I think as the price of miners will also go exponential. And I mean, if you look at that, like the new gen of miners, like your typical S19, I don't know much about what's miners, but I know that they're really good. So I'm just talking based on what I know. But like the hash rate of an S19 anywhere from like 96 to 110 terahash. The next gen miners only increasing to 150. Like that's not that much of an increase versus like the S9 to the S19 where well, I don't know what the S17 was, but going from 13, 14, 15 terahash to 110, that's different. What do you know what the S17 was?
Thought it was like 60.
No.
Maybe 50, 55 was the first batch, and I think like 70 was the second. But those were dog shit machines because they came out in 2018 or 2019. Mm. And so you're kind of on that peak decline of Bitcoin price. You are experiencing nobody buying the machine, so you have no incentive to go and produce, or not incentive, you have no income to go and produce that level like what you did before for like the S9s. And of course, S19s, they're really great for immersion. So I didn't realize you worked at Kaboom Rack. So if you find any like S17s for sale or something, let me know, because I've heard those are horrid for air cooled, but they work great for S17s. And I know a couple of people at Slush Pool and Brains, they really enjoy running the S17s and their immersion setup with Brains.
Interesting.
So I'd be very curious to see that. But you did just bring that up. One of the main there's two big differences between MicroBT and Bitmain. The first is that the chips are made at TSMC for Bitmain. So that's in Taiwan. We know the issues that are going on in Taiwan and China. Yeah. So that's definitely a red flag potentially. The boards for MicroBT for the What's miners are made at Samsung in South Korea. So there's a little bit of a hedge for any Chinese interaction like that at the chip supplier. The second thing is you brought that up for the individual heat sinks on the Bitmains. Ridiculous. There's like 50 or 70 heat sinks on all these things, and they're all small and individual. When you pull out like a M30 hash board, it's one ginormous heat sink, just one single board. So it's definitely a lot more robust. And I know Joe Rogers posted a video in one of the chats of like a machine running, but you could rattle it and it sounded like a V8 engine because
that's not good.
The heat sink was just, yeah, exactly. The heat sink was just bouncing around in there. So it's very interesting to watch what happens with TSMC in Taiwan and how much Samsung can scale out their facilities here in the States over the next 2 to 3 years. So maybe if they do that properly, I think that one's coming in Nevada or New Mexico.
I know they have some chip foundries in Arizona and Texas.
Do they? Okay.
But yeah, I'm not positive on that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what floor space MicroBT can purchase at a U.S.-based, Samsung foundry. If they can do that, and you could buy a USA-made down to the chip level micro BT machine. It's wow, that's going to be very, very powerful. It might be very expensive, like what you said, but that could be powerful. And then the other thing is too, we're getting down to what I brought up earlier, the quantum level of chip improvement. And really the only thing you can do right now is just add more cores. You can do a little bit of improvement, but I think the next one is going to be like 5 nanometer is what somebody's coming out with. Like currently we're at like 7. Once you get sub 5, the electron interactions between each other, nobody knows how this stuff works. We have great theories on it, but nobody has a definite answer. The electrons just literally pop in and out of existence, and they short little parts of the board, or 2 electrons appear out of nowhere and then they both disappear. It's quite ridiculous what happens at that such microscopic level. That's why we might experience a very static improvement, like you said. That's only a 50% improvement in efficiency. Fine, pretend that you do a perfect immersion setup and you're getting 200 terahash out of that 150 terahash machine. You only doubled it. When are you going to get 350 terahash or 500 terahash out of a machine? I don't know. I don't think that's possible in the next 2 to 3 years. I hope I'm wrong, but to be determined.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I'm super bearish on supply chains and next gen miners. I think they're going to have a lot of issues. But yeah, Kaboom Racks hates S17s and tries not to sell them. So, but if any come around, I'll let you know. So we got some people in the spaces. Clancy, how you doing tonight? No, maybe Clancy stepped away.
Oh, maybe she did. I can try my audio there too.
Got keep
hey, going down.
We got Keep It Simple Bitcoin too.
Hey, welcome, Keep It Simple Bitcoin. Love what you do, man.
Okay. Tim is asking to talk. Let's see what Tim's got for us tonight. What's going on, Tim?
What I do? Hey guys, thanks for bringing me up. I have questions about tracking pricing of ASICs in sats. Is it generally good to time it for market peaks, dips, or just sooner the better? Clearly in dollars, sooner the better. But do you have good advice on priced only in sats?
I'll throw it over to you, Max. I'm pretty relatively new to mining.
Yeah, that's a great question, Tim. What I have found, I'm not going to tell like the exact numbers here, not to bore you with details, but I am significantly personally in the hole priced in sats for just my very tiny mining operation that I have. Right. Because I did price it in sats. I looked at it and I said, okay, this machine is 20 million sats or whatever it is. My electricity bill is a couple $100. I probably would have been better off to just outright buy the spot price rather than going to buy a machine. With that being said, it really depends on when you buy, the machines. Right. I would not buy the machines at the bottom of the barrel, like in 2018 per se, because you could have just bought Bitcoin at 3,000 or $4,000, whatever it is. Yes, you could have got a whole semi truckload full of S9s for $500. But price that in sats, that's 500 divided by 3,000. That puts you at what, 10 million sats? Is that right? Somewhere in that range. Yeah. I'm sorry, like 16 million or something like that. What's 16 million sats? Today that's like, somewhere in the range of what, 80 some $100 right now, $9,000 or something like that. So it depends. Really, any time that you can, in my personal opinion, what I've figured out the past couple of years, buy your miners with cash. And yes, if you need to buy them in Bitcoin, take the cash that you already had, buy it in Bitcoin, and then go and send that to one of the ASIC resellers or manufacturers, but I don't have like a particular price chart for you, but that is a great question. Definitely price it in versus the spot price.
Right. I wish there was a place like just to watch a graph of miners priced in sats to kind of watch that, maybe find out that on the way up, when the market's going up, it's better to buy spot price. And then at the top, when it's real expensive, maybe hardware is a better investment or something. But either way, I'm only spending money on one of the two.
Yeah, so we have Don in the chat that says hash value versus hash price chart is the best visual for sats versus dollars, and that
awesome.
And to buy when there's the biggest spread.
Yeah, this was on, if you go back and actually watch the YouTube video of the most recent Rabbit Hole recap on Tales from the Crypt, Marty actually brought this exact chart up. Thanks, Don, for putting that in the YouTube chat there. And he was kind of telling Carr that exact comment. Try to find it when it said its widest discrepancy, and that is technically the best time to buy. I couldn't remember what the chart name is, but thanks, Don, for sharing that.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, Don is a great resource. I've been picking his mind about mining a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How you doing tonight, Patrick?
Oh, I'm good. Can you tell me that chart again? Hash value versus what? I was trying to look for it.
Hash value versus hash price.
Copy. I'm good. Just was listening in, and I don't remember who it was that said buy your bitcoins for cash. I got one better than that. I mean, not buy your bitcoins for cash. Buy your machines, mining machines for cash. I got one better than that. Don't use cash. If you can buy it on credit, that's even better because because it's kind of hard to buy sats with your credit card. I mean, you could do it. You just have to jump through a bunch of hoops, and it ends up you have to pay a premium on it because it ends up being a cash advance. So instead of doing that, if you could just buy miners with it, that's what I would recommend. If you get like a line of credit or a credit card with a large limit, if you have good credit, that's kind of one way to quote unquote attack the fiat system, so to speak, non-violently, of course.
Speculative attack, buying miners. That's awesome.
Yeah, if I can elaborate more on my comment there, preferably, $100 bills is fine, but absolutely, what you just said, max out that credit card and buy some ASICs in like a month or two before the halving or something like that, or a couple months before the next halving, max that sucker out. And the best part about that is now you actually own a physical asset. I'm not at all saying to ever do this, but for some of the larger operations that I know about, they're actually getting loans on that hardware. So they just bought the machines on credit, like what you just brought up, and then they're going to the bank, not a bank per se, but then they're going to investors or somewhere else and saying, hey, give us a little bit of excess capital, and this is our inventory, this is our assets. So you just bought a physical asset, right, on credit, and then you got excess cash to go and pay your electric bill for there. So it's like a double speculative attack. Now, at the pleb level, you really can't do that, but you definitely can do it with a credit card. That's the absolute way to go, for sure. Don't tell your wife, get a home equity loan, go buy a couple ASICs, and then she's going to ask, what the hell is that noise in the basement? You're going to say, honey, don't worry about it. It'll pay for a nice Christmas vacation.
This is shitty advice.
Clancy.
Exactly. What's up, Clancy?
What's up, y'all? Never lie to your wife.
Never lie to your wife. Absolutely true.
That is very true.
You're not doing a very good job of orange pilling if you have to lie to your wife about buying miners.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a big problem. I appreciate what Joe gifted you. for your birthday. So that was a beautiful birthday gift.
If you're coming to Bitcoin Twitter Spaces for relationship advice, I feel sorry for you. This is not the place for relationship advice.
I don't know.
I do as well.
Joe and Clancy have a pretty cool relationship. I definitely.
Obviously, Clancy's the exception, but I mean, in general, if we're talking Bitcoin, you wouldn't come to us for relationship advice. I don't think.
I personally.
It's just an observation.
I personally go to Log Scales Twitter Spaces for relationship advice.
Yeah, me too. That's a really good point.
Yeah, so the strategy I'm, trying to have is like, I've got, pretty nice miner, and I'm gonna buy my girlfriend an S9 and completely subsidize the power costs, so she and all the Bitcoin goes to her wallet. So that's my strategy as far as getting her head wrapped around mining and how cool it is. Skeeve says Log's a bitch.
I love him in the chat. There you go.
I actually used one of Log's Twitter Spaces earlier today to. Don knows where my head is. So Don says Dennis Porter gives great relationship advice from his closet in that shitty blue suit coat. That's dope.
That is so true. There you go.
Shout out to Dennis Porter. Thank you, Dennis, for sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, while you got it, that's a great segue. What are the sponsors of this episode?
We have Dirtbags Bar in Tucson, Arizona, the best place to find your future ex-wife. Shout out to Dirtbags. They've got expensive beer, cheap food, great places to find a train wreck of a relationship. I forgot, somebody was saying that you could get a lawyer queued up for the eventual divorce, but if you're dating at Dirtbags, you should probably just get a prenup. Let's see, what else?
Probably smart.
This podcast is presented by Dennis Porter. His very generous sponsorship. He sends us screenshots of British Huddle's Glassnode account, so we have all the inside trading techniques. I'm trying to think of who else. This episode.
That's like right-clicking a JPEG, isn't it? That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
British Huddle hasn't figured out how to make his Glassnode screenshots NFTs yet. So once he does that.
Soon TM.
Once he does that, it's going to cost Dennis Porter like $80 to send us a screenshot. It's also sponsored by LaCroix. Not as good as Topo Chico, but LaCroix is good and cheap. And we'll throw out, we'll say Lightning Water is one of our sponsors. So tell us a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't want to do a product placement, but your words, not mine. So, except for the video. There you go.
Lightning Water, non-fluorided water, won't make you compliant.
Yeah.
So why do we got two voices there? Is Skeef there, or what's going on? What's the second person?
So I've got Max joining me. So Senior Maximilian in Spaces is also on with me. So we're streaming this. So you're in the call-in to the live stream.
Oh, sorry, I'm just a lowly caller. My bad.
We're somewhere in the fucking matrix.
Yep.
Yeah, we're somewhere inside Make Everything Trump Again. So it's a wonderful verse.
Make everything Trump again.
I really love that. I don't know where I saw that, but somebody put this, probably on Twitter somewhere. The meta stands for Make Everything Trump Again. So if we can get that phrase going, I think Zuck might be changing his name one more time.
Well, you want to know something absolutely hilarious? Is we should definitely do that for Fold's sake.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Did you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the meta thing on Fold.
Yeah. So poor Will over at Fold named theirs Metaverse before that news came out. So yeah, Fold is not associated with Zuckerberg in any way, shape, or form. But that's
God, that sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty funny though.
It's gonna happen eventually. It's gonna get out there. We do run the memes of the world, as we know. Clancy has put out some fire memes. I can't announce any off the top of my head, unfortunately, because I'm not in front of an account. But beautiful memes that Bitcoiners put out in the world. We literally run the meme game.
Yep. So Don's throwing some Max. He's saying he heard that lightning water is full of adrenochrome. Is this true?
It probably is. So I was talking with Peter Todd at Atlanta Bitcoin Conference, and he also made fun of me. And as he was drinking out of the water, he said, "Oh, I can taste all the estrogen." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably not wrong on that as well." So, yes, yeah, you're absolutely right, Don. There's probably a lot of shit in here that we don't know about, but it's for Bitcoiners.
I'm sure Peter Todd knows.
We're striving to make it better. What was that?
I said I'm sure Peter Todd knows a lot about estrogen.
Oh man, that was good. A lot of shade.
Yeah, that's funny. Adrenochrome, one of the topics that will probably get you banned off of the internet, but we'll see.
Yeah, if you want to get banned real quick, we need that list of words that the algorithms flag, and then you can just blast that in the chat. So that might be one of the words. Probably retard is another one.
We say that
well.
We say that all the time.
Yeah, so that's probably not going to work then.
I've tried a handful of times going down the list. Like I'm not trying to be like super edgy or anything, but I have one that say climate change isn't real. The climate isn't real either. It's just a social construct. Trump did nothing wrong.
Space isn't real.
Roger Stone is
there you go, Clancy.
What did you say, Clancy?
Space isn't real.
Yeah, space isn't real. I guess we haven't gotten into QAnon stuff. I know that word's like a big no-no on Skeef has like the ultimate get banned. Give a politician advice of how they might use a rope in a tree. That one gets him banned on Twitter all the time. Oh yeah,
that's a good one, Skeef. And we didn't realize the power of these centralized parties of everybody watching your direct messages. Yeah. So even if you say that in your own private chats, they're not private.
Yep. Nothing
is private on a centralized server. It's theirs. So
yeah, that's pretty wild that Skeef got banned for DMs. Bill Clinton body count. Or the Clinton body count. That's another good one. That's an interesting.
That's another great one.
Do you know the story? Do you know the story?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so the story behind the Clinton body count, the origination, like a lot of people think of the Clinton body count having to do with Hillary. But this goes all the way back to when Bill Clinton was the governor of Arkansas, and they had a CIA base flying cocaine into airfields, and a bunch of people mysteriously died via suicide, having knowledge around that airbase. So that's where
they're filtering heroin through Mena, Arkansas, and people were just randomly dying from heart attacks. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and ever since it wasn't the Warren Report, it was another commission that talked about the CIA's heart attack gun. There was I don't know. There's all sorts of crazy stuff like that. Don says Barack Obama is an agent of the Taliban.
one of these days it's gonna happen. They're gonna do a mass flood, and we're all gonna get banned on whatever platforms. I'm honestly excited for that day. Not gonna lie. Knock on wood, but I think it's gonna be a fun day.
Yeah, we'll be joining Keep It Simple Bitcoin, who is in the spaces right now. RIP to his YouTube
Yeah,
account.
shout out to BitcoinTV.com for being our hosting provider for all Bitcoin related content. You guys definitely need to get your page up ASAP. I'm thanking Satoshi Service Center is up there for us. I know Keep It Simple Bitcoin. You guys got a whole page up there. That's awesome. It's just transferring all that stuff over. I know we'll get it sooner than later, but shout out to the team over there putting all that self-hosted stuff up.
Yeah, I should start watching my content over there. I need to migrate off of YouTube. I think being on Graphene has been helpful to not consume as much YouTube. And YouTube is just kind of sucking recently. There's a lot less good content.
Yeah, a lot of junk, like always. Same thing, junk in, junk out.
Yeah,
how it goes.
So
you gotta mix in some normie takes here and there with your base takes. You gotta say stuff like Epstein killed himself. You gotta be like, veganism is healthy. I don't know. You gotta mix in some normal normie takes. That way you don't get banned. And I think it's good not to be banned, to be honest. A lot of hardcore Bitcoiners have been banned from Twitter, and I think it's a huge loss, to be honest.
Yeah. Bitcoin Twitter's starting to suck a fat dick recently.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been on Graphene has gotten me off Twitter a lot. I spend barely any time. Graphene's great because it's just so difficult to use. We got a question for you, Clancy.
All right, shoot.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Patrick. There needs to be. It's important for good content creators so our sponsor Dennis Porter doesn't corner the market. Skeef wants to know about the Iraqi Stargate.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know what the fuck he's talking about, apparently, hang on, my kids are walking. Hang on.
Okay. Yeah, I plugged.
Yeah, she needs to elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, Clancy, explain for the folks at home what that is.
I'm sorry,
Clancy. You should let your kids hear about the Stargate. It's important that they know what's up.
No, I just had to mute y'all so I could be like, get the fuck out of my room. I didn't say that. I did yell that. No, okay, so for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, so there's a theory that, there's a lot of evidence to show that the real reason beyond the fucking petrodollar to invade Iraq is because there is an ancient Stargate in there that they've been fighting over for millennia, right? That's why that's another big reason why there's like constant war in the Middle East. It's over these like ancient ley lines, like where the ley lines meet, and apparently there's a Stargate over there that we have gained control over by having a presence in Iraq. So there's a couple of podcasts that I can refer y'all to that go really deep into this, and it's super interesting. So like off the top of my head, I can't think of the book, but I can find y'all some links and I'll post them. Y'all can share them.
Yeah, I was actually just this week listening to something about that. Dark Journalist. He's got a great YouTube channel that I really enjoy, and he was talking about how the Baghdad a Baghdad museum was raided by some anonymous organization, special forces sorts, that seemed like they were from an intelligence agency, but were not necessarily associated with any government. And so that's a really, really interesting. All of that's super interesting for sure.
Right, like they should have no interest in shit like that. You know what I mean? They're over there protecting our fucking freedoms from terrorists. So what interest would they have in ancient museums and artifacts?
Yeah. Shout out to Scott Horton. That guy's done some really good work on that topic. Big fan of Scott. Okay. Tyler wants to come up. Let's see what Tyler. What's going on, Tyler?
Not much. How's it going?
It's going good. You got anything for us on Iraqi Stargates?
Yeah, this shit's wild. It's a fun distraction from the sad reality that it was just a wealth extraction from the common taxpayer.
Yeah. Oh.
I guess that would explain why the U.S. was such close friends with Saddam in the early 80s. You know, we wanted to have good relationships, I guess, with the Iraqi government for that reason. And then we decided, you know what, it's too dangerous for him to have this stuff. We got to come in and take it. So I don't know. Maybe it's somewhat plausible. I love a good conspiracy theory. Most of them are wrong, but just like I like a good story, like The Matrix is a really good story. It's not necessarily real, but it's a great story. So I love hearing conspiracy theories.
So there's an article that I can post that is refreshing my memory. So the theory is that apparently Hussein had information based off of like the ancient scripts and history that he was going to release about the Stargate, and they didn't want it going public. So he's threatening. I guess he was using that as a leverage and threatening to release that information. And I think that's part of why the Bush administration went to Iraq, was to stop him from revealing that information. So that's just like one angle of a conspiracy theory. And there's a bunch of people that have like evidence to supposedly back that up, but who knows? You have to dig deep down into it. It's pretty deep, and it's so complex. You know what I mean? Like they want people to not dig into this stuff to make it really difficult to find this information.
Sorry to interrupt, Clancy. Just wanted to announce, buy the fucking dip. It looks like Bitcoin's dipping. I'm gonna smash buy a few stacks right now.
Yeah, that's a dip for ants. Yeah, I wonder like how Iran plays into this, and because there's a lot of hate happening. So chat disagrees with you, Patrick. So Skeef uses strong words, but pretty much says that all the conspiracy theories are they're true in 2021. And then Don says circumcision is a conspiracy theory.
Well, that's true. Circumcision is a conspiracy. I think Clancy will have my back on that one. But the one I'm gonna piss off a lot of people on November 22nd. I'm gonna post a whole bunch of stuff on Oswald to prove that he acted alone, and I'm gonna piss off a lot of people when I do that. But I'm gonna say this communist killed JFK for revenge for Bay of Pigs and for the Cuban Missile Crisis. And a whole bunch of communist sympathizers tried to make him out to be a patsy and said, no, it wasn't Oswald. It was some Nazi. It was some conspiracy theory. But no, it was a communist that killed JFK. And I'm going to expose that on November 22nd.
It was actually like all of the above. I mean, he was totally mind controlled. So yeah, he did it, but it was not him in his rational mind. It was a fucking MK Ultra experiment, and they just made him do it.
Yeah, I looked into his past. I didn't see any evidence that he was under CIA control at the time that he did. I saw that he worked with the government.
Why would they leak evidence of that?
Well, I mean, look, if you wanted to hear about a CIA operation, look at Bay of Pigs. That was a CIA operation for sure, and it was a freaking disaster. It was a clown show. That's what CIA operations look like.
So you think that all CIA operations are reported?
Don't know, Clancy. But I'm gonna expose this communist. I think the whole JFK conspiracy theory is just a communist psyop, and I think a lot of anti-communists have bought into it, which is a shame.
Yeah,
I thought it was Bush.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I heard about that. What do you think about Bush being behind it? It's somewhat plausible. What do you think, Clancy? Was Bush senior behind it?
I think it's totally plausible. They got some really low time preference timelines, so there's a lot of shady shit going on in that whole lineage.
Yeah, the thing about Bush Sr. that I thought was an interesting thing was everyone remembers where they were when JFK was assassinated, except for Bush Sr. When they asked him where he was like, "Oh, I'm not sure. I don't remember." Like he never knew exactly where he was.
Oh
when
my
he found
God!
out.
Don't you wonder where he was? Oh my God!
He was in Dallas.
How did we let a spook become president?
Because we had no control. Just like it's always the illusion of control. Just like we don't have control now. It's just an illusion of freedom.
And then he got his buddy Bill Clinton in after him. Bush Sr. did.
Yeah, Bill Clinton was also a spook, but just not as directly tied to the CIA like Bush was.
He was a spook's puppet. That's literally what he was. It's how he went to that fuck island so many times.
Yeah.
They were like, "Do us favors, and we'll let you fuck these kids."
Yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah. So, Skeef says HW was the paymaster and Bush Jr. was in Dallas that day. So, that's his theory.
And Jeb was the trigger finger. We figured it out.
And it's pretty interesting that the Biden administration blocked those JFK files from getting released. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that.
Yeah, they're all fags.
I mean, I wasn't surprised, but it was that time for it to be released, whatever the duration is for that. And there had to be powers that be to stop that. But we know that Brandon is not in power, so somebody else is writing the trick.
Let's go, Brandon!
It seems like
The Biden administration has no respect for the Constitution or no regard for it.
100%, Clancy. 100%.
I don't think any administration really has respect for the Constitution.
Maybe not respect, but regard, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the Constitution's like a good frame of reference to look to, and I think like it exists as like they respect it to the point of trying to get the populace's buy-in. And so they're like, we're limited in the thing. We have this monopoly on violence, but we're limited in what we can do because of this piece of paper, which is not true in the slightest. They just present it as that's reality. So people are like, oh, I'm going to go to the ballot box and vote because I think I actually have control in changing things when they really don't. But yeah, I don't know. So we got Nick Foster up in here. He's the guy to talk to, Max, if you want to get your or any minors.
Yeah, Nick, send me some S17s. Let me know what I owe you.
not S17s. Throw those away.
No, it's for immersion. It's for immersion. I'm not air cooling them.
Oh my God.
Hey, Nick,
Fine,
you
send me some S19s then. There you go.
We turn away anybody that wants to sell 17s, like 99% of the time.
Nick, do you guys take credit cards?
We don't. We don't.
Oh man, that sucks.
They don't take funny money. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
We take lightning.
So yeah, we were.
Yeah, but we were talking about it. Before you got in here. We were talking about a speculative attack, like using getting a big credit card balance and maxing it out and buying a whole bunch of miners with it, basically on borrowed money. We were just talking like a speculative attack on the dollar like that.
You can go to your bank and get a line of credit that has a better interest rate for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, and do the same thing and wire from it.
Copy. So you take wires then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll take dollars. We just don't take credit cards. The payment processors always shut us down.
That's really interesting.
If the payment processors, the payment processors are smart.
I've been accepting Bitcoin and offering services, Bitcoin-related services with different payment processors since 2014, and I've been shut down and banned from like every platform that offers credit card services.
So what basically the credit card companies are onto us then. They have kind of already thought about this. Is what I'm saying.
Right. And if you really want to wreck someone's day, just go like, report them for like selling something with a credit card and just like say that they're a cult. It doesn't even matter. Just like, you don't like some mom and pop shop, you can annihilate them. It's really easy. That's really all it takes. With Bitcoin, you piss people off pretty easy. So, as you can imagine, it's happened to me.
So tell us about your cult experience.
Well, just like Bitcoin's a cult. That's all you have to do. Is you say this guy is operating a cult, and they'll suspend him.
That's a bummer because cults are a lot of fun. Max,
what you snacking on there?
I'm pretty sure Nick just lives off of Red Bulls. I don't think he eats.
Airhead
I wouldn't be
Extreme.
surprised. You guys are hustling over there. Thank you for your service. Holy shit. If it
Jesus
wasn't for you
Christ.
guys, we wouldn't have fucking aces.
Airheads and Red Bulls, man, and GMI.
I ran out of Red Bull this week. I drank 5 cases last week, and I'm out. So I had 1 Red Bull this morning, and I had 4 200 milligram caffeine pills instead.
Bro, you might as well go get the fucking vaccine. It'll kill you quicker.
I don't know.
Bravo.
Mandrick has been.
It's going to be sponsored by Red Bull. When's the sponsorship? Red Bull should be sending you like a couple million just for that brand deal. Jesus.
I agree. My countertop's covered in empty cans.
Damn right. God, you're worse than Neil with fucking White Claws. Jesus.
Are you single?
No.
Good try, Casey. Good try.
I'm a coffee junkie.
I don't like coffee.
Young lurk in the chat, Red Bull and DMT. I appreciate you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm thinking about weaning myself off of caffeine, but it's very scary. Right.
I did it. It's awesome. You feel so good once it gets out of your system.
Yeah. No, it's much better. I've thought about it.
For a month, it's literally it's like the worst thing ever. Like you're like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And then after like 3 weeks, you start waking up in the morning and you're like, oh, I'm not going to die.
So I like caffeine. If I was going to eliminate a component, it would be the sugar.
Well, don't the caffeine pills have 0 sugar? It's just like straight caffeine, right? The powder?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's perfect. There's no sugar then. So
yeah, so I've done that. I've gone years without drinking energy drinks. I have different kicks and different things that I go through. Been through a couple different phases recently. I like the Red Bull right now. It's pretty good. Red Bull's not as bad as some of the other mainstream ones, and I think it's reflected in the price as well. So Red Bull's very expensive per ounce.
Yeah. It's the premium drink, but yeah, the next step after Red Bull is to do coffee enemas multiple times a day. And then after that, it's just to start injecting coffee into your veins directly.
I don't like coffee. But I've got the caffeine pills.
You're fucking with your
adrenal. Just do the powder. Just order the caffeine powder and just do your proper dosage, either in like the pill capsule things or like mix it in water or something like that. Like that's the way to go. Like drop all that sugar shit.
Or you could just wake up and drink water and then like meditate, and then you have more energy than you'd have with all that shit.
Yeah.
A good morning fuck also helps you wake up as well. That's a good stimulant. So
yeah, that helps. No crap
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's like, it just takes discipline to quit anything like that. So like with coffee, you know, it's like the reason why I like it is because I like to be lax with my sleep cycle, and it kind of helps as a crutch to deal around that. And yeah, for me, any time I've been successful quitting, it's good discipline.
I mean, going back to the ketosis state, like in all seriousness, that's the best way to have all the energy in the world and be very alert and awake during your day, get a good night's sleep. Like I would absolutely, you're absolutely right. It takes a tremendous amount of discipline to quit anything, let alone let that persist for 30, 60, 90 plus days, a whole year.
Yeah, so I usually go, so like I have this crazy schedule where I unintentionally like, I'll do like intermittent fasting unintentionally, mostly because I just don't want to eat until about now. Like I haven't ate today yet, except for candy and one Red Bull. And so we look at the Red Bull should knock you out of ketosis, right? So that's lame. So, you know, because the sugars, the calories, right? But if I were to stick with just pills and water, you know, I'd probably remain in ketosis. And I've done that many times. But the thing is, it's just like, it's really satisfying to just get a nice sugar rush too. Like just go get a fistful of like Airheads or a fistful of like, you know, chewy Jolly Ranchers or like gummy worms or Tootsie Rolls and just like throw them all in your mouth where you're like a fucking 4-year-old and you're like, drool coming out of your face.
Not gonna make it.
It's okay. You gotta die of something.
I can just see you right now just taking a fistful of like those chewy Airheads or the Jolly Ranchers. You got a half a case left of Red Bull next to you. You're on such a sugar and caffeine high. Just shipped another like 3,000 ASICs. That's rocking and rolling. I appreciate it. We sold 1,000 S19s last week. Hell yeah.
And I mean, that was all done Sunday morning to Thursday afternoon. It was quite the thing. And like I said, I went through 5 cases of Red Bull.
That's crazy.
So my kids, like after they trick or treated Halloween, I dumped all their candy. We have like a candy cookie jar, and it's like a big glass jar in our kitchen. And it was like midday today. I was like, oh, I think I want a piece of chocolate. Like I like craved it, and I went down there, and this is like a big ass candy jar, y'all. Like it's like probably like 14 inches high, right, and like big around. And I go down there, and it's like there's like literally like fucking 5 suckers left, and I'm like, holy shit, my kids are eating all this fucking, and it was filled to the top. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, how did I, such a bad mom. Oh my God, how did they eat all this candy? I didn't even notice. I was like panicking. And then tonight at dinner, I was like, yo, the kids have eaten the entire jar of candy since Halloween, and I haven't even noticed. And he's like, really? I was like, yes. I said, have you eaten any of that candy? And he was like, yeah. And I look at him, and I'm like, did you eat all the candy? He's like, yeah. And he's literally ate a whole fucking jar in like a week. It was fucking crazy. So I was about to lose my mind to my kids, and it's my husband. He's the one fucking eating everybody's candy like a fat ass.
That's hilarious. That's like me as a kid. So 1,000 S19s. That's some weight you guys are moving. So we were discussing, Max and I were discussing earlier about whether or not this is a really good time to buy ASICs, specifically for home mining. And I think we both took the stance it is a pretty good time, especially like with the next gen Bitmain miner looking like it's gonna have diminishing returns as far as like exponential increase in hash power and all the supply chain issues that we're seeing with the chip shortages. So yeah, curious what your thoughts are, Nick.
I mean, I think, well, a stereotypical answer would be like, yeah, every time's a good time to buy, but obviously there's times that aren't great to buy. So I'll just kind of tell you what my strategy is, being on the inside of the market. Anytime that there's upward signal in terms of pricing of the machines, you should be buying, which is crazy, right? But you're chasing the market and you're hoping that you're just playing the market, right? So from my perspective, I look at the machines as assets, not just tools. The machines are liquid assets themselves, just like stocks, just like Bitcoin. And so, but they're only liquid because, we're the marketplace for it. And Kaboomrex will buy back used machines too. So you have to think about that. That's always an option. So you can buy a machine today. That's $10,000. Let's say rough numbers, okay? Buy a machine today. It's $10,000. Say it goes up to $15,000 of value, right? Say it does. And in that time, you've earned $1,000 in profits off of it, minus your OPEX, right? So you have an opportunity to make $6,000 and not even own this thing for the life of it, right? In that scenario. Of course, I can't forecast and tell you, this is the exact price to the dollar or what it's going to go up at. But if you take the same strategy with, let's say, stock of Google or one Bitcoin, the same principles kind of apply. You buy when you're going up and you just sell at what you believe the top is. And you should have no regrets from there. To me, I don't know, little tip for you guys, I guess, if you see a bunch of GPUs go for sale, MOQ1 out of Missouri on our channel, they're probably mine. It probably means I think it's the top. Or I'm out of power, one of the two. For me, I like the complexity of GPUs for home mining. And people hate that. People love that. The reason people hate it is, you're mining a shitcoin. Well, yeah, but I'm always selling the shitcoin right for Bitcoin immediately. And I hold the Bitcoin until it's opportunity time to sell the Bitcoin too. And so for that entity, I mine, and I even sell the Bitcoin when I believe the Bitcoin's high. Right now, my sell orders are 70K, which we didn't hit the other day. Fuck. So, and that's, that's based on a belief system, right? So like you can be, for home mining, if you set up an LLC in your own house and it pays your power bill, you can have the LLC write off the cost of the power bill. But the LLC owns the Bitcoin and it's on the books, it's legal, and it's correct. It's not like some off the book shit that someone threw it in their basement. And then you have to report all that. You have to report your gains when it goes up in value. You have to report it when you sell it. And you should find a tax professional who can do this. And so like my strategy is to buy the equipment as it rises in value. Obviously, in hindsight, 6 months ago was a great time to buy. I bought some 2060s for $200. The 2060s, now they're at like, $1,000 almost. They're $700. So that was a good buy. They weren't worth that much then, but they are now. So in like hardware value, I've tripled my money, and these things are making $4 a day a piece every day in Bitcoin. So, it's like I think you buy while the market's hot, and then you sell when you believe you're at the top, your hardware. And that's what I think a small operator should do. Small to medium. And I would put myself in that category. Now, if you're like, I've got megawatts of equipment, you don't sell. You run to its death and you replace it with newer machines that are more efficient. And you buy at the regional lows anytime you have a regional low. So like today would be a great time to buy. We're at 61,000 for a big farm that has a schedule of trying to get a certain number of kilowatts or megawatts online. Today would be a great day to place an order because Kaboomrex might lower the price if you ask them.
Yeah, super interesting. What do you think is going to increase in value faster, ASICs or used cars?
ASICs. I have both. But no, I'm totally not selling my car either.
Yeah, it's insane going and talking to people working at car dealerships right now. Like they just have no cars on the lot whatsoever, and so this kind of influences my thinking around the potential for real issues for Bitmain and other mining companies to actually deliver on next gen miners. Because if Toyota can't make cars because there's no chips, I doubt that Bitmain can do it.
Right. So I mean, the way it all depends on the process, right? So like the Toyota stuff's all 16 nanometer. It's not 5 nanometer. It's not what's on the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
So who's competing with Bitmain is Apple and Samsung and other high end things like Nvidia or AMD. Those guys are competing in their own world. If we put the latest and the greatest, like even the PlayStation and the Nintendo equipment and the Microsoft equipment, they're not the same caliber as the iPhone or the latest, Samsung device, which is hilarious, really. There's not a lot of consumer goods out there that are using the bleeding edge. So really, I actually don't see a huge shortage of bleeding edge. I do think there's logistics issues, and I do think I don't see a shortage because of competition. I see a shortage because of resources. Shipping's a big pain in the dick right now. I can tell you this all over the world. It's a huge pain in the dick. Whether it's air, whether it's sea, whether it's camel across Egypt, it's terrible. And you have materials and electricity are also increasing in price in China. So that can contribute to just access to raw materials to produce any product. Like the price of aluminum was probably going to go up because aluminum, as we know it, is mixed with magnesium, and magnesium is produced in like 2 places in the world, China and the United States. And these plants require constant electricity. And in China, they're doing controlled rolling blackouts right now, which is probably why they banned mining, not because of politics. They're doing controlled rolling blackouts, where they're shutting down certain towns and work camps and industry, that we all benefit from in the first world over here. And they're shutting it down temporarily for days at a time. These magnesium plants, have you ever had like one of those magnesium lighters? So like magnesium oxidizes really fast. So there's not like a big stockpile of magnesium. So we need magnesium to mix to make aluminum magnesium alloy, which is in everything. It's in your phone, it's in your wheels, it's in your electric cables. So I actually see that to be more of a supply, just a raw supply problem more than anything.
Why is China doing rolling blackouts?
Well, because they stopped importing coal from Australia. And it's just politics. And then they stopped their hydroelectric power is insufficient right now because even though it's like rainy season in some regions, there's droughts in other regions, and then there's the hydroelectric dams that they operate are producing insufficient quantity of power versus normal base load. So they have these work camps, which are exactly what they sound like, these terrible places where you just go to be a slave and work. They're going through rolling blackouts. And you think about like metalsmithing or working with metals or anything that requires constant power or heat, you're not producing anything useful.
Interesting. So when they have a blackout, how long does that last? Do you know anything about that?
I actually don't know the complete specifics. Pretty much unloaded all I know. I just know that this is when you see the cost of scrap go up over the next 6 months, it's going to be related to that.
Yeah. Just stock up on scrap metal.
Well, just don't turn it in. You should be stocking up on it anyway. I don't know who's throwing away money to begin with. Weirdos.
So how do you think this will compare to like the housing market? Like there's a correlation here, right? So
like our current housing market, or like how will it affect the future housing market?
The future.
I don't know. I mean, our houses are made out of wood and steel, so it's like it shouldn't affect much. The real problem in the United States is getting anyone to show up to work. I've got that problem in Phoenix.
Fucking Arizona,
Yeah.
LARPing on liberty. See,
I don't know about that.
No, just generally speaking, having where the wage met labor before, it's moved so much. I think it's just difficult to have the things meet. But I actually think we're gonna have like this deflation of wages as like a massive failure of raising minimum wage. And I think it's gonna hurt. I think it's gonna hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think everyone's going to be demanding $17, $18, $20, $25 an hour. And then they're going to be met with oh, fuck, I can't find a job for 12 now. They just got rid of those laws so those companies can open back up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a world of hurt for people that thought they were worth 17 and they told off their employer. And now they can't get a job for 10.
Yeah. That's going to be super interesting. You could incentivize people by giving them free S9s. Sign on bonus.
You know, I'm having a production issue. There's not enough S9s to go around.
I know. I'm just joking.
Maybe it's 692 that need to go out before the end of the year, and we're not going to make it.
I'm just having wishful thinking.
All
right.
Anyway, I gotta go. Pizza's here.
did you just say pizza?
Absolutely.
Oh God, it's funny.
Thanks for the insight though, Nick. That was fascinating. Definitely. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for the commentary there.
Yeah, I hope it's worth something to somebody, but probably isn't. But that's okay.
No, it was. It was good. Thanks.
All right, catch you guys later.
Later, dude.
All right, see you, man.
Have a good one. All right. Well, we're about 2 hours in. It's generally where I start wrapping up. Stoked to have you on, Max. This is a lot of fun.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be your co-host here, and hopefully Skeet gets better from climate change. I don't know what the remedies are for that right now, but we're out here praying for you, Skeet. Whatever we got to do to fix your climate change diagnoses, we will do our best.
Yeah, he's been treating himself pretty well. That shrine to Greta hopefully has him feeling a little bit better, and then as well as his straight soy diet. Those two.
Yeah, but wait, is the shrine though? Is that of the picture with her in all of the wetsuits getting off of the massive boat and the rubber boots and all that stuff? Like, because if that's the case, then I think that'll happen much more faster than if it's just a stock photo of her in like regular attire.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
No, that's a good point. Maybe we'll have to pool some money to get him a little wind turbine to put on.
There
his
you
roof.
go.
They can power.
And when the wind's not blowing, we'll let the solar power the turbine to run, and it'll work wonderful at 2 o'clock in the morning. So
yeah, we'll give him enough to charge his phone at night, and that'll
just to tune in to Toxic Airwaves.
Yeah. just to tune in to Bitcoin Kindergarten Wednesdays.
Yes, Bitcoin Kindergarten, 9 o'clock Eastern, every Wednesday.
Yeah, the time shift really sucks for content and shows. Arizona, we don't change, and so
what?
Yeah, we don't change. I think like it's us, and I think
Wait, what do you mean?
Wait, so you don't experience daylight savings time and all that shit?
No, everybody else changes and we don't.
What do you mean?
How fucking stupid? Yeah. What? Please explain.
No, we're not the stupid ones. Everybody else is stupid for doing
Oh
daylight savings.
Oh my god! How fucking confusing is all this shit? So you're telling me in the same, not exactly the same region, but within the same continental, United States, there is like a region that does not change the time.
Yeah, half the year we're on Mountain Time, half the year we're on Pacific Time, And
what the fuck? I want to go to Arizona at this point.
Yeah.
This place
So
is
when
crazy.
do you change?
What are you asking?
When do you change from mountain time to?
Yeah.
We're on mountain time right now, so we just changed.
So you guys changed mountain to Pacific when everybody else changes daylight savings times then?
No, technically we have our own time zone that like this small little region of southwestern America is a part of. So it's like
What? So you fly in there, you're just like, what the fuck time is it? And you just gotta ask the local.
No, I mean everybody uses their frickin' phone. You just have to. You fly in here, you go look at the TV. It has a time on it. You change your watch. It's not that hard.
Optimus. I see you're in the chat. All right, man. So you're telling me when you guys change on the West Coast like that, wherever you are, you're telling me that you guys in Arizona don't fucking change?
We don't change. We're the same time all year round.
What the fuck, man? Y'all got me fucked up now.
So
So I'm literally doing this. So when I get my fucking territory, my Citadel territory, I'm making my own fucking time zone. It's gonna be like 3 hours later than everyone.
There you go.
I'm with you, Clancy. Absolutely, I'm with you on that. We make our own time zone.
Because daylight savings is just a fucking style scam.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Hey, I don't know about you guys, but I think I slept in an extra hour that day. I felt wonderful the next day. It was socially acceptable for me to sleep in. It is a scam, but hey, it was a nice change. Daylight savings is pretty whack, but you know, let the scam government do what they want. Clancy, why are you such a big meanie?
I saw this meme the other day, and it said, I don't understand why I fall back 1 hour and it gets dark 4 hours earlier.
All right.
And it was that meme with that black guy where his lips are like perked up to the side, you know?
Now, what would really put Arizona ahead is like we're way ahead of the curve and not adjusting daylight savings, but would really put us ahead, and we're already starting to do this in Tucson, is just completely shifting over to the metric system entirely.
Oh my god, you guys did that, you'd fuck everybody up.
Yeah.
Like I said, okay, so you just like come into like a fucking twilight zone when you enter into Arizona, and you're just like, can I get a cup of rice? And they're like, we don't do cups here. And you're like, what?
You do enter the twilight zone when you come to Arizona because you actually experience freedom, unlike Texas.
And that actually happened to us when we went to Florida in the spring. We went in May, and we got out of the airport, or even off the plane. We got off the plane, and it was like, y'all, it was like you could feel it in the air. It was like a weird. I think it was that it was not near, because where we were from, it's like it was thick. Everywhere you went publicly, it was like you could just like feel thickness in the air. It was like you were moving through some like fog. And then when we stepped out of the plane in Florida, we were like, oh my god, you can like breathe. It was the craziest feeling. So it's like legit a thing. You can totally feel it.
Interesting.
Yeah, fascinating.
I feel that way every time I drive back into Arizona. Like when I'm coming back from California or New Mexico. I don't feel too crazy when I go up to Utah. But New Mexico, Texas, California, as soon as I coming back from those places, I hit the Arizona border, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, okay, I'm free. But yeah. You got anything to plug, Max?
Check out Bitcoin Kindergarten. Shout out to the Bitcoin developers for getting Taproot activated. It's going to take everybody like 4 or 5 years before everybody starts using Taproot wallets, but it's all right. We're patient. We'll be good. Don't forget to close all of your Lightning channels down as well and reopen them up, because that's what we're going to have to do. That's for next week's topic, but other than that, man, thanks for having me on, though. I'm very happy to be here and kind of take Skeef's place. I noticed this as well. This is Toxic Stream number 21, so shout out to the 21 maximalists here. So I'm very humbled to be on the 21st stream.
Yeah, no, it's dope to have you on. I was thinking about that beforehand too. Bummer,
Yeah, that's dope.
Bummer we didn't get to Taproot. We talked about mining pretty much the whole time, which is cool.
Yeah, this was definitely a ASIC hash rate topic, but that was cool to have Nick in here for that little bit, give us some good insight. Those are some gems that he was dropping, so I will definitely be going back and re-listening.
Yeah, it sounds like the move is don't buy S9s from Kaboom Racks because you're not going to get it for a while. Unless you want to lock in a price if you have a prediction that S9s are going to go through the roof. But
yeah,
they do have, the newer hardware that they're moving pretty quick. So I can testify to that.
Yeah, if anybody wants to sell me some S9s for some immersion testing, I only need like one or two just to play around with it before I scale up. So hit me up. Or
Do they have to actually be working?
What was that, Clancy?
Do they have to actually be in working order? Like, what if they just have like real low hash?
I mean, preferably in working order. I would just, if I fuck anything up, I would rather burn up like two S9s and burn up two S19s or like some really nice Lutz miners. So, but yeah, see what Joe has sitting on the bench that nobody wants yet, and go from there.
Yeah, maybe I can like sneak some to you.
No. Get it to me first, though.
Maybe I can sneak some to you.
Yeah, get him to Optimus first. Yeah.
I was saying maybe I can sneak some to you and get them the fuck out of my garage.
Oh shit!
She wants them gone. She wants them gone. Time to ship.
I don't know where those went, honey. I don't know. I didn't. Oh, you had 478 in here. I thought you just had 470. I don't know how.
Yeah, bootleg miners through Clancy. Big if true.
It's definitely a
Hey Optimus, I'll send you the sats for the immersion, so you'll be getting like 20 terahash out of that little S9 for you. So at like 5 cents a kilowatt hour. So you'll be Gucci. Don't worry.
Hey yo, but yeah, honestly though, DM me some stuff. That'd be dope.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. All right, y'all. This is wonderful. Again, appreciate to be on here for sure.
Yeah, I've got a couple things to plug real quick.
Yeah, shoot it, please.
So we are having a Christmas party in California. Terrible place, but it's
in Commuland, I see.
Yep, in Commuland. But the southwestern Bitcoin scene is getting together, so make sure to get your tickets to that. It's going to be a dope dinner. I'm stoked. AK-47 might come out for it. As of right now, both Skeef and I are going. Brian Harrington, Stephen Cole, bunch of, I think George McHale might be going. Not positive, but lots of cool people out there. Hopefully, some other people will be there too. Let's see. And then tomorrow night, we're having a meetup in Phoenix, which I'm pretty stoked about. We're going to be having a samurai presentation, Bitcoin privacy.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's going to be solid. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be hosting / emceeing it. Oh, AK-47 is coming. Dope. That's awesome. But yeah, yeah, it's going to be good. I think that's important to meetups to be discussing stuff like that, and like the position I take in the meetups is like, we're not here to like try and convince a bunch of normies to buy Bitcoin and having the Coinbase account. We're there to try and end the state, usher in freedom for humanity, and actually legitimately end central banking permanently and build off of there and do other cool things. So having the privacy focus is great at this meetup, so I'm stoked for it. But other than that, I'm working on an inflation documentary. I'm trying to get it out in December. It's pretty wild, the research I've come across. Housing is up almost double over the past 5 years. Thank you, Trump and Brandon, for that. Jerome Powell. Rent is up 30% in Tucson since the beginning of the year, which is absolutely absurd. Yeah. Those, price controls and eviction moratoriums, all the bullshit, is really gonna wreak some havoc. It's gonna get pretty insane. So hopefully, for people out there that they're, if not owning a house, or locked in a rent somewhere and not looking to move anytime soon, because even out in the periphery of town, I got really fortunate with my current situation, but out in the periphery of town, it's still extraordinarily expensive. Like, it used to be like, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, it was like $1,000 a month for a 3-bedroom house, a nice 3-bedroom house, and now it's like 2,000 to 2,400 for that same house. So it's absolutely insane. And it's interesting to get out there and start talking with people about it. It's actually an incredibly cool experience. It's not going to be a Bitcoin centric pod or documentary, but I'm trying to take the WTF happened in 1971 approach and kind of allude to it, help people make their own conclusions without specifically shilling it. But gonna piss a lot of people off. I know that, because the entire premise of it is government is bad, central issuance of money is bad, and my city, 7 out of the 10 top employers are government agencies or contractors, and people love government spending in this city and hate the idea of getting rid of the government because they're all employed by it. So that aspect will be really interesting to see how pissed people get.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the inflation documentary you have coming out, and it seems I don't mind paying $1 million for a gallon of milk so long as I'm making, $13 million an hour, right? Everything's all relative, but it's that, like what Nick was bringing up earlier, the wages are going to be crazy when they come out to say prices have gone up this much. My rent is 30%. My meat prices are 65, 70%. Shout out to KNC Cattle down in Austin, Texas, are now, accepting Bitcoin for all their beef. They think they're actually going to run out now because of that. But what's going to happen when they push back, on these moments? It's going to be crazy. So I'm glad that you're on the front lines getting, the boots on the ground commentary from these people, what they're feeling, what are they trying to pivot towards to give themselves a little bit of hedge. And, you can allude a little bit to Bitcoin, but there's bigger fish, for these people to fry rather than understand, what Bitcoin is, how they can fix it like that. They need something, immediate without going down that long rabbit hole. So fascinating. I'm stoked.
It's super fucking depressing, seeing how it's actually impacting people, and it's going to get really wild. And like, we're just in such a amazing position having had Bitcoin where we're not feeling the same amount of pain. Like, gasoline's going up in dollars, but it's going down in Bitcoin, as is every other asset out there. And it's pretty wild how wrecked people are getting. But yeah, anyways, thanks everybody for joining. Chat was awesome per usual. Spaces, thank you for tuning in. And Max,
Thank you. I appreciate being here as well. I'm very humbled.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I'm going to end the stream.